Attention flight tracking and aviation professionals. Command the skies with Skyglass 2.0, where precision flight tracking reaches new heights. Prepare for the forefront as our Overwatch alert system takes charge, featuring AI-driven voice alerts that redefine readiness. Engage with the dynamic 3D interface, deploy unlimited watch lists, and harness the force of precision flight tracking. Seamlessly integrate 3D airspaces, TFRs, AirMets, and SIGMETs into your operational arsenal. Skyglass isn't just an upgrade, it's your tactical advantage. Redefine precision flight tracking, amplify situational awareness, and conquer the skies with Skyglass from Avia Labs.
All right. Hey, welcome, folks. Mil-Spec Ops Mc here. It's going to be your SITREP. It's 10/1/2024 as we coming to you live here from the Monkey Lounge in the great state of Texas. Hey, by the way, on the Skyglass piece, if you get that this week, you get 20% off, and it's only for this week. I think that ends this coming weekend. So make sure you jump over there and get that. If you don't have Skyglass, you are missing a very important data point, and that is the ability to look at so many different complex pieces and not just a one-dimensional map from overhead, all right? And so you'll make better decisions, you'll be more informed, and you will be able to see, all the details that you really miss in the other flight tracker apps. So, okay, now let's do this. We're going to talk about this October surprise. I think the deep state has something up their sleeve. It could be a good indicator that they believe Trump is getting ready to come into power, because they would only pull the trigger on some of these if they thought he was going to be in office. War, economy, all of it. Everything that we're watching happen right now. We're down to roughly 40 days until the election. I imagine the wheels will probably come off when we get to about the 30-day mark inside the 30. But this is definitely an interesting time to be alive. This port piece is going to be very dynamic, and I think it could have far-reaching consequences here. Make sure you are prepared for you and your family, because you're going to see the shelves go empty if it is indeed what I think it's about to be. So, all right, let's do this. Let's jump over here to our menu. We're going to start off in Skyglass as always. And what you're going to see here, I've got the weather plugged in, and we're sitting at around 195, but I've stripped out 84 Tex-2s, almost 50 T-38s, 46 EC-45s. Most of that will be training. The EC-35s are really the big trainers. We're going to peel it back just a bit because I do want to take a closer look at the helo activity with the storm. We are going to talk about the storm stuff as well, and a lot of other things going on. Just the wheels seem to be coming off. It's absolutely crazy. But look at this. Here we go. This is going to be your H-60 traffic. Now, the big piece to this, disregard the stuff here in the Panhandle. More than likely, those are going to be training ops. But you get into North Carolina where all of the flooding and everything is happening here, and you can see a very large amount of activity. Doesn't stop with the H-60, so let's do this. Let's back that out. Let me pop open the H-47 banana copters, and you can see they are very active as well inside of that same region. So we have a ton of H-60s in that area, as well as a ton of H-47 banana copters, also known as Chinooks. Very interesting. And now this piece, I do want to just peel that one back, because see these EC-45s? Now, all of this in the Panhandle, that's going to be training activity. But again, if you look at the amount of helicopters between, let's go EC-45s, let's select the H-60s, and then let's select the H-47s, and you can see the trend right here in this general area. Very active and busy. That's good, because when I show you the numbers of what's been going on there, it is quite sad, actually, and I am really encouraged to see that kind of activity. Now, look at this. Let's go over to the KC-135 tankers. We're going to look at air refuelers, and I'm going to pull in 11 B767-200 Pegasus refuelers as well, and you will see pretty much coast to coast, very light on the left coast, center of the U.S. just getting fired up here, and then, as you can see, up the eastern seaboard, very active. All right, let's take those away. And let me see if there's anything else. I'm not really seeing it. Let me take out these training copters there too. Okay, let's go with this. I want to break down. I'm going to pull this off my screen here. And I just want to get into the deets. We're going to look at the watch list first and foremost. And the interesting thing, those circles, those rings, that's where reconnaissance, surveillance, and intelligence is being gathered in those areas. As you can see them, kind of that little bowl around the left coast up to the center of the U.S. And then down here, that's just going to be one of your global X's. Looks like it's maybe coming out of Guantanamo Bay. Remember, there's a huge immigrant camp there. And then I see, it looks like Air Force One is airborne. And then that one right there. So that white tail is a 757 going across the drink. That's typically going to be one of your emergency response teams, like the panic team, so to speak, anytime there's an international crisis. So when you see that thing going abroad, that is because they're sending a specialty team over there because they believe something is about to pop off or something has popped off. Now we get over here to Europe, and you'll just notice the balloons, the E-3 Sentry, and then you get up a little further there, and that's going to be an Intel bird. I see a couple of Ruskies there too. We're going to look at the Russians. They have been very active the last 5 days. And this is all real time, by the way, folks. This is live. You can see the amount of work there over the Black Sea into Turkey, down into the Mediterranean. And then, of course, the B-703s over Israel. All right. Now let's talk intelligence, because we'll look at Israel. We're just there. And you can see very active. Notice that those lines come in from outside of the country. That means they're getting some help with their intelligence gathering. I'm going to show you a comment coming from Flashbang today that is going to open your eyes a little bit as to why we may have a threat here domestically and why we're putting those assets into Israel. Is it really because we are there to protect Israel? I don't buy that. I think it's because we think we're probably going to get attacked here domestically, and that's going to be the front line right there in the Middle East. All right. Now, just notice a little bit of a stretch there across the Panhandle. That's an area just damaged, so there doesn't, not a far reach for them to be doing some type of gathering there in terms of surveillance. Now, we look at the drones. You're going to see a transition that goes from the center of the U.S. out to the left coast. That's probably a Q9 if I had to guess. And then notice this along the southern border. That was probably because they had Bob Marley down there, right? That's also Kamala, by the way, if you haven't figured that one out. But she gets the name because she her Jamaican roots, and she likes to, smoke the hooch. So let's go down a little further, and you'll see from a drone perspective, very low altitude stuff over the Mediterranean, north of Libya. And then you can see the work coming in and out of Malta, looking all in Israel's business. And then you can also note Turkey has their borders pretty much shored up with drones, right? Lots and lots of drone activity up 24/7 there in Turkey. All right. And then that little one down there in Qatar. Let's take a look at the R-135. And notice they are still looking at the ship traffic coming past the left coast. And then, of course, you can see the little box out over the Midwest. And then, remember, these are side looking, right? So that's when you see them doing that shoelace, you got to think they're looking out left and right of that, okay? And then that one that bounces down towards Savannah. And you can see this little activity there over the Baltic Sea, very close to Kaliningrad. And then you could see this work right there south of, or really kind of over Crete, but they're probably more than likely looking at Libya. Remember, the Russians are heavy in Libya. All right. Now, let's just go E6, Takamo, and this just is an indicator of where our subs are located. Take charge, move out. You can see left coast, right coast, down into the Gulf of Mexico where you expect it to be. We go over to Europe. We know we have one in Europe, but it is not showing. Last up is going to be the AWACS, and this is a very good indicator here of, you can see they're looking for nukes for the most part. Down to our southern border in Texas, that's a little concerning, but they do it all the time. And then, of course, up towards D.C., not really a lot over the U.S. Now, if you're in England, just notice that the AWACS has been off your coastline there in the North Sea. And then you get down, you can see the French bouncing stuff down to their southern border there towards Spain. I see a little flight there over towards, kind of towards Crete. And then you could see them doing some work out over the Mediterranean, in and out of Cyprus, it looks like. Then over Constanta, right, looking at Crimea as well as Moldova. Okay, let's go to the mini. Let's get into the news cycle. Then we're going to talk about the Ruskies. We're going to look at the movement in terms of air refuelers. And, well, let's do this. I'm going to button that piece up. We're going to pop this up here. And you're going to see, check this out. This is absolutely insane. Now, you may remember I've been showing you that the Germans were down in Barbados. I believe that was their atmospheric research, their version of NOAA. Yeah, what were they doing? I don't know. But the amount of rain this thing has dropped, given the fact that how quickly it was moving is, yeah, it's definitely not normal. You do get the flooding, you get the tidal surge and all the other stuff. I mean, it was a Cat 4 hurricane, which was higher than they predicted. But look at this. It says 1,000+ people are missing in one North Carolina county after this major hurricane hit. It's heartbreaking. But look, you get down here. Let's take a look at what is coming again. We've got more stuff rolling in. This is the area that the Germans have been hanging out in. In fact, you can go and look over the last 5 days and you can see this aircraft did a little bit, well, it may be other aircraft too, a little bit of work there over Germany, but notice the transition. Now, did they just come home? I do know that October 7th, all of that was supposed to end, but you can see that it looks like a broken trace leaving Barbados. Maybe their damage is done. They're getting out of Dodge before, I don't know. Let's just, that's, again, very suspect. They were in here doing this, and these storm systems, that's the one that just went super hot. It looks like you got another one getting ready to roll into the area. You've got these that are forming, which will take it out towards Hawaii. And then, of course, this one here, this is just a wave maker. So you can see it goes to kind of back and forth. It went into a 1, then back to a storm, then a 3, back to a storm. Looks like depression came across that area. Maybe that's what mixed it up. But all the way out here to a 2 is what the projections are. But you can see it's still firing, and we're very late in the hurricane season. Just to give you a general idea of what's going on out here, look, you've got Kirk firing here. You got Joyce this side. So this is an actual hurricane, a second one coming off with a 30% chance right here forming. And then, of course, you got this disturbance down here. They're saying right now 0% chance, but I'm not buying that because other trackers saying this is going to form out here in the Gulf, especially over the hot water. All right. Now, why is this so unusual? Well, look, we hit peak hurricane season based on a 100-year average September 10th. So we are weeks behind the peak. There was really a very low and slow kind of hurricane season. They predicted all of these named storms, didn't really happen. And then we get over here. Well, now we're right here when this thing is starting to really drop off. And in fact, it's not. It's actually looks like we're going to be rolling all the way out here to this side. So this data is going to be a little bit skewed. Okay, well, it didn't just stop at the hurricane piece. Look at this part right here. This says a fire at the Biolab chemical plant releases massive amounts of toxic smoke. How did this even happen? Triggers evacuations and road closures near Atlanta. That's up in Conyers, a biolab. Never good. Look at the stuff it is pumping into the air. Very bad. And, we'll just keep an eye on it. But shelter in place is what was happening there. And they're saying you get the really bad chlorine smell in the air. But anytime you got a biolab, it's always a little bit, not good, right? a little bit suspect. Seems to happen a lot. Now, the interesting piece is the current administration, who can't seem to find their backside with both hands, are nowhere to be found. In fact, I think this is probably going to hurt them in the polls because this is over an area that's considered, most of them, red states. Georgia was a swing state. So, why are they not boots on the ground looking at this? Hurricane, all the other stuff. I'm sure they're going to jump into the hurricane, but I think it's really, the damage is done, so to speak, from the current administration. Speaks volumes as to where they really, their priorities are. I mean, Kamala was partying in LA as all of this was going down. So again, big indicator that she's, if something happens and she gets into office, we know what happened, right? I mean, yeah, come on. Okay, look at this. It begins. Pay close attention to this one. U.S. port strikes erupt. It's the first shutdown in 50 years, sparking fears of a supply chain crisis. So it says here more than 45,000 International Longshoremen's Association members from over 36 facilities across 14 Gulf and East Coast ports went on strike early Tuesday, marking the largest labor action at U.S. ports in nearly 50 years. Okay. These are all of the strike locations, as you can see. And so now they think that, Flashbang will come in and basically say, you got to go to work. It's a cool off period. He'll do what he has done in the past. We're saying it's going to backfire on him because if they do get forced to go into work, these union employees are going to basically, they're going to drag their feet. So if they were pumping out 30 containers a day, it'll be down to about 5. I have seen that and witnessed it where I've actually, because I was not a union employee, had to go do warehouse labor because the union went on strike. And, it was amazing to me how many boxes on the shelves were actually empty and they just made it look like it was full. It's just the little games that they do play, and you get it. They know people are going to be coming in to do their job while they're on strike, and it's that's one of those things when you're a salary employee at a large corporation, you don't get a choice. You go do what they tell you to do. So anyway, but that's the kind of thing that happens. This will have far-reaching implications if we get any further in to the month, and they are indeed on strike, and these ports shut down. You will start to see the shelves emptying out just in time for Christmas. So stock up on that toilet paper and those paper towels because we know what can potentially happen here. All right. Okay. This, again, this is where the Germans are down here. They're really not right here. This is German Aerospace Center of Atmospheric Research. That's that Halo plane I think we saw just go back. Supposed to be there till the 10th. That was the window. They may have gotten all they needed, already done the damage. But they were really out here in this general area, not down far south here as this shows. They were up here. All right. Couple more danger boxes left and right, but I'm not seeing anything that really catches my eye over the United States. That TFR right here is an exercise scheduled, but look at what it says: search and rescue and recovery ops, air to air. So now the interesting piece is, I don't know why they call that an exercise being scheduled, because technically that's not an exercise. That's actually a military op. So why would they say exercise? Beyond me. But this is the area we're seeing all of the helo traffic in. And then what is this? Again, low-flying aircraft in here. So this is probably going to be surveying the damage, if I had to guess. All right. Okay. And then let's go here to Israel. We're going to talk more about that at the very end, but very interesting stuff going on. Now, this weather right here, if I had to guess, you will find that there is probably some weather modification stuff going on right here. All right. They just have their own fleet now. Very hard to track them. And then you can see this is just completely covered up. Now, some interesting data. I'm going to show you some live strike maps and footage of what's going on inside Israel and inside Lebanon. And then I'm going to give you some of the news talking points to that. So stay with us. Don't go away. This is going to blow your mind, all right? Okay, this is Biggs Army Airfield. I wanted to show you just what has come and gone just in recent weeks since Friday. Actually, in the last 5 days. Okay. Notice Atlas Air headed to Indy, 767-300. 757 headed to Louisville. All right, that's Delta Airlines. National Cargo to Nashville. Des Moines, Iowa. El Paso, Indy, Cincy. All of this activity, I am about 99.9% sure this is moving the migrants inside of Fort Bliss out of that giant tent city, holds 15,000 people, and basically giving them their forever homes. It looks like they have just vacated the camps, or maybe not fully, but a majority of them, and just sent them out everywhere. That tells me there is something up their sleeve for them to get those camps emptied out. All right. And then this one here, a little 737 headed over to Smyrna, Tennessee. So there's a lot of activity going into Tennessee. Now, could these Airbuses right here going into Nashville be tied to the storm stuff? Maybe. Could they be sending some National Guard in or military folks just to kind of secure the area because of all of the stuff that was happening? Maybe. But these others right here headed into these, Indy and Cincy and Kentucky, I think that's probably vacating the camp, right? And here's one more Atlas that's headed down to Houston, all right? Okay, let's move on. It's over to Dover. You can see some big boys coming in. We got Atlas Air, Coletta Air. Then we go to see where they headed out to. You could see them. They're headed to Ramstein. So this stuff is headed over to Europe. More than likely, it'll end up in the Middle East. And then just to kind of button this up, let me just show you. This is over on military.com. It says thousands of more troops, and that's U.S. troops, attack aircraft heading to Middle East as Israel targets Hezbollah in Lebanon. Now, I'm going to show you that at the end, but I do want to point out the fact that we're going to talk aircraft. When I show you the air refuelers here in just a second, I want you to note, see the F-22s? Those are probably coming out of Hawaii, if I had to guess. Squadron. Got F-16s, F-15s, and A-10s all headed that direction. Now, there's a statement down here that caught my eye, and I thought, are we coming? Well, we are. We're coming up on October 7th, which is the one-year anniversary. But remember, the Muslims have been highlighting the fact that the United States is in lockstep with Israel. To prove my point here, look at this. Joe Biden calls that this Nasrallah's death a measure of justice for his many victims, including thousands of Americans, Israelis, and Lebanese civilians. He said that on Saturday, by the way. That will probably be met with some type of serious finger pointing at the United States tied in with Israel, which, quite frankly, couldn't be further from the truth, because the current administration is not for Israel, if you haven't figured that out, okay? So now let's look at the air refuelers. We talked F-22s. You're going to see, notice the deployments out of Hawaii. See, this is tankers, so you usually have to have those to get the fighters across. Notice that long strand. It stops in the middle of the U.S., not the left coast. And then notice all of the lines going over to Europe. Now, the key here is they look like they parked a bunch inside of the UK, but I do see some traces that are broken going down to not only towards Malta and Italy, but also very close to Constanta. Now, could they be parked there and then transition today? Maybe. But we'll pay very close attention to that, because that is an indicator that fighters are moving across the drink. It lines up with this ad from military.com. I say ad, this news information. All right. News story. There you go. That's the word I'm looking for. All right. Now over here to the Brits, and you can see it looks like they've got some stuff going in and out of Crete. That's the main focus. And then one just getting airborne, probably headed over here into Europe, which is the direction it's headed, but maybe RZE. We'll see. It's at 29,800. Looks to be climbing above the weather, so clicking right along. And then we get over here to the UK, and I just want to show you again, it is very active and very busy in the UK. You can see the boards. These are all military flights in and out of that base. Okay. Now, German Air Force, notice Tel Aviv. Yeah, it's the Germans showing up there, flying out of Tel Aviv. And they got quite a busy board going here. You can see them kind of, spreading their wings yet again. And let me back it up and see if we got them anywhere else. Yeah, it's not showing all the flights that are actually airborne, but you can see in and out of Israel. And then, look, this one headed down to Africa. I've been watching a couple flights headed down here towards Kenya, Nairobi. It's not just the Germans either. It's the Brits and the Americans. Okay. All right. Ramstein. Look at this. 747s arriving. The Trip 7. So this will be troops now, or at least coming to pick up some troops. This is a 777-200, a 767-300. These are both going to be troop movers. This is a 747, so this is going to be moving equipment. We get over here, just notice this one's headed out of that location, headed back to Seoul, Korea. This one right here is bringing Muslims from Ramstein directly to JFK. Yep, and those are almost daily flights now, right? They don't bring the troops into JFK International. That's going to be immigrants, okay? So when you see them emptying out the bases, you see them pumping them in from the Middle East. Yeah, you can figure that one out. All right. Let me also show you something here. When we talk about migrants, I do want to just kind of back up. I'm going to go into the flights here because I think this is important. But this graphic really paints the picture. You can see the red arrow directly across from me on the bottom of your chart. That's pretty much around the time that Flashbang started to come into office. And then just notice where the peak is, way up at the top of the graphic, right? They are bringing them in. 20 million they've brought into the United States. 20 million. It's incredible. It's criminal is what it really is. Okay, so pay attention to that. Now let's go look at the flights. I'm going to show you first and foremost, this is Omni, and just notice the flexing. I do believe that the flight going into the port area of Istanbul is actually picking up illegals, just like the one that comes out of Ramstein. You can see them going down into the Middle East, but also a lot of troop movement, okay? Get over to the U.S. and look at the amount. This is 5 days of Omni traffic. They're doing a lot of heavy lifting. Again, they serve many masters. I'm very suspect of the amount of traffic going into Hawaii. I do think they're bringing a lot of them over there. All right, on your nickel, by the way. And then notice the borders. Notice Central America. Notice South America. And then notice that you got them coming in and out of Haiti. You got them coming in and out of, it looks to be Guantanamo Bay. They fly them into Miami. They put them on other flights, and then they take them up here to the center, the heart of the United States. Again, this is Omni, not all illegals. There's a mix in there. Now, this one, watch this one right here, because Global X is, that's a different story. Notice they're moving them from busy locations, right? You see this? And they're bringing them in. That one actually, now this, I'm going to pause it for a second, because one of the things that I have noticed when it comes to, well, it's not going to let me pause it. When it comes to the Global X, there we go. Let me back this up. All right. Do you see the flight here that goes into Biggs Army Airfield coming out of either Guatemala, all right, or El Salvador? It is down in that neck of the woods. My understanding is this camp that is at Fort Bliss is supposedly, from what I've read, tied to, it's got a huge kids area, right? Now that comes into play because I'm going to show you the flights that come out and go to Washington, D.C. as well. So this is straight up 100% moving illegals, all right? But pay attention to it. Southern border. Look, see this? I think, and I can't tell. I think it's right on the border between El Salvador and Guatemala. And then notice that one out of Cuba. We've seen that before. Notice it goes around the horn out of Guantanamo Bay. But notice where the flight goes to. Yeah, Washington, D.C. All right. So that's Global X, straight up immigrants. 1 million% immigrants there. Okay. They took over for Swift Air when they went bankrupt. All right. Now look at this map. This is going to blow your mind at what's going on. Israel, you talk about, Zechariah 12, Zechariah 13, you get into the cup of trembling, all of the things that's happening. This is going to stir the hornet's nest. I believe Psalm 83 is in play, but notice this is Gaza. They are lighting it up. Notice these red icons right here. These are going to be Hezbollah and Hamas popping off targets. You notice that most of the concentration has been talking about Hezbollah, not as much Hamas, which is very crazy because when you get down in here, this is all Hamas. This is Hezbollah. Now look at this. Look at the amount of strikes, right? We know that Israel has breached the border. They are moving in. They are also hitting ground targets from the sky and from tanks. But they are moving. Look at that. I mean, this is insane all the way up, the amount of strikes Israel has just conducted. And it doesn't stop there, right? This is Beirut. You can see those are two. They brought down buildings on some folks there. And then you get over here to this side, and you can see them all the way up. Now this is Syria. This part right here, this becomes important because look at this. This is Damascus. These are Iranian flags. As you can see my mouse moving here, all right? That's Iran. Now, Hezbollah is also in the mix of this. Let me see if I can find the map that shows, yeah, this is Hezbollah, right? Notice that they too are all around. This is right at Israel's border, northern border. You can see why they're doing what they're doing. I mean, you get back over here and you go, okay, well, look, Hezbollah, they're all in here. I just showed you the map. You get up into Damascus, they're all in here. They're in here. This is why Israel is going the route they're going. But you can see they are lighting Lebanon up like nobody's business, right? Now, notice over here, I'm going to show you some of the live feed news. Here it is. We just talked about this. This is from CENTCOM. It says 3 additional aircraft squadrons. So you've got F-15s, 16s, A-10s. Notice what they didn't mention here. F-22s. Yeah, they just conveniently left that one out. All right. Now look at this. A senior White House official tells the U.S. has intelligence that Iran intends to launch a missile attack against Israel in the immediate time frame. So buckle up, folks. This is about to get really interesting. And then you got the mouth of the North here, Erdogan, right? And what does he say? He says, I warn Israel of the consequences of its ground attack on Lebanon, which will not be similar to its previous occupations. Yeah, remember, you get into Ezekiel 38, and you've got that trilateral agreement that has happened back in 2017 with Iran, Turkey, and Russia. They are key on Ezekiel 38. Damascus, Isaiah 17. Crack your Bible open and read about that one. All right. Okay, let's move on. Look at this. U.S. Navy warships were targeted in a complex attack on the Red Sea. This, it's insane that we allow the Houthis to do what they're doing. We just saw Israel went in as well as the U.S. and attacked some major targets inside of Yemen over the weekend. So it looks like this stuff is about to pop off. Like I said, we're 6 days away from the anniversary of October 7th, which was the biggest attack on Israel since the wars that they were in. Okay, go back to 67, the 7-Day War, and the 6-Day War. And then you go to 1948. And, you get to October 7th and it's their 9/11. They have a right to defend themselves and they are going after it, as I've shown you right here in the map. And this is, I think, a sign of what is about to pop off here. All right. Well, listen, that's going to do it for our SITREP today. Just went a little bit over. Hope you have a fantastic rest of your day, and definitely keep that powder dry, stay frosty, and folks, make sure you have a plan as we get, especially getting closer to this October 7th date, and make sure you're prepped for your family. Make sure you got the supplies you need, because if these East Coast ports shut down, it's going to be a major, major impact to our supply here in the United States. So, all right, you guys be safe. We'll talk soon. God bless. Monkey out. Artisan handcrafted soaps. Get yours in the Monkey Werx shop today.